And we are at 12, so let's get started today. Welcome everyone, for those joining us. I'm Bert Wens, the co-founder of the Power Platform ISV solution. Today, we're going to spend some time with you to talk about our product. So I brought, I think, 6 or 7 slides on what we do, but then I'll quickly move into the most interesting part, the actual demo of the product and how it can help you. And then at the end, we've left 15 to 20 minutes for a Q&A. If you have any questions as part of the session, feel free to raise them in the chat and I'll make sure to tackle them at the end of the presentation. So let me jump into the slide deck. First of all, I want to extend a big thank you to the CRM user group of Belux for allowing us the opportunity to come and present about our solution. So CRMUG Belux is a local chapter of the global CRM user group. And the idea is to help individuals and companies and partners to maximize the value of Power Platform and Dynamics by enabling local networking and knowledge sharing. If you can, please follow the CRM user group through the social channels here. And then let's jump into the content for today. What we see is that a typical customer has a bit of a journey when it comes to Power Platform. They start by getting a couple of demos. They might do an app in a day. They build their first pilot apps, and then eventually they get to that production app, which gives them a lot of value. Multiple production apps, the need for a center of excellence comes around, and they'll start hitting some of the compliance and security deployment issues. Eventually, they also realize this platform seems quite interesting because we also have a lot of legacy here sitting around. Maybe this could be an opportunity as well to move to the Power Platform. And eventually, you get to a position where you have hundreds or potentially even thousands of apps on the Power Platform. And what we're seeing is that that journey takes quite a lot of time. Most of the customers spend a lot of time, 6 to 12 months, to get those first production apps ready and going from zero to identifying the platform and getting those apps there. And what we're trying to do with our product is actually accelerate that journey. And so you can get to that second stage where you're really looking at a lot of apps and the value which comes from these apps faster and following best practice. So a quick overview of our company. So I also already mentioned the co-founder. So it's me, Bert Wens, together with Bert Orne, my co-founder. And our mission is really that we want to accelerate your Power Platform journey. And you can take ideas and some of your legacy apps onto the Power Platform in minutes versus days and months, as well as following those best practices. So we really want your citizen developers and your professional developers not having to worry about these best practices because we drive them through the platform. And throughout that journey will also allow you to maintain control of your data landscape and automate a lot of the IT tasks as part of that. I've also listed a bit of our journey here, where in 2019 we came up with the idea up to where this year in February we founded a company. We released our first MVP in July. The base product was released in September, and now we have a private preview ongoing. And we've had a couple of iterations and enhancements as part of this preview as well. And the idea is that we go GA with a solution at the end of January in the next calendar year. I highlighted these benefits very briefly already, but let me touch on a couple of points. So the idea is really that we allow you to accelerate your innovation. So you can take an idea which you have and get it into a full-blown Power Platform app faster and following those best practices. And the way we do that, I'll do the demo later, is that we allow you to take screenshots or forms or a Microsoft Excel file which you have from an idea or an existing application, and we'll move that in a number of minutes towards the Power Platform and automate a lot of that effort. We also allow you to maintain control of your data landscape. What we see quite often is that when citizen development lands in a customer, that there's suddenly quite a number of people developing and implementing Power Apps on top of all kind of disparate data sources. And before you know it, you'll have 5 apps which do the same thing. There will be person data stored in all of those data sources. So also here, we help with Power Accelerate to stick closer to those best practices and allow you to map to the Microsoft Common Data Model. And then finally, also around modernization. If you have a set of legacy apps sitting around on all sorts of different technologies, and you're tired of the maintenance of those, we help you take those apps and move a large part of them to the Power Platform in an automated fashion. So you don't have to hire an expensive developer resource to do that for you. We support 3 channels currently. Screenshots, that is something you draw on the back of a napkin or a piece of paper, but also I'll show you some examples of some of the work I did in Microsoft Paint. But you can also, of course, take screenshots from an existing application like Microsoft Access. We also support Microsoft Excel. So one Excel file with 1 or more workbooks, and we'll same thing. We'll take the data model as well as the data from that Excel and move it in an automated fashion to the Power Platform. And then also SQL, Microsoft SQL Server, on-premise or in the cloud. I think the lowest version we tested was 2008 for now, but I'm sure it will work on the lower versions as well. And the idea here is very similar. You take a database with the tables and the fields and the data, you analyze it, you pick it up, and you move it to the Power Platform. When you take this channel and the source file, the idea is that we automate a lot of the IT work for you. So you can really focus on what should my screens look like, what's the logic there, and it's almost like the fun activities for your citizen developer, while we take care of the more IT-oriented topics and also enforce best practices as part of the journey. Another thing I'll say, so with these 3 channels, our experience is that we can cover off quite a lot of other channels as well, because a lot of applications allow you to export to Excel, or there's some migration tools from SQL or MySQL to SQL or Excel as well. And screenshots is also very generic, where you can take a screenshot of any kind of applications. But we are also getting questions about additional channels, and we are working on additional channels here as well. Then we have a very simple 3-step process. Step 1 is you create a project of the app you want to move to the Power Platform. You select the data source. You, in this case, select your screenshots, which you want to upload. And then we will have the Power Accelerate logic identify what's on there and detect which components you are looking at. And that gets us into step 2, which is the review step. So now you will get a view of what the Power Accelerate logic has detected. So in this case, it was 2 screenshots. So you see 2 tables with all the fields and the field types it has detected. We've also added intelligence in here, and I'll show you that in a second, where we automatically map certain known data types based on the labels, but also we've built a common data model mapping feature here, which allows you to map to the common tables in the common data service, like a contact or an account record. The next thing you do is you click generate, and then Power Accelerate will do all of the big IT tasks. It will create a data model for you in the Common Data Service, or Microsoft Dataverse, as it's called in this week. It will create all of the fields with the linked field types. We will populate the search screen, so the views, as well as the forms with all of those fields. We will create a security role, and we will all populate that into a solution file as well, following all best practices, so only implementing the components which you really need. We can generate this, and by default, everyone has access to our Power Accelerate instance, but we can also generate this on your own Power Platform instances or those of your customers. So you can generate directly. as well as we will migrate for the Excel and the SQL channels, the data linked to it. And for SQL Server, even we will also migrate the relational data. So it's not only the data which we link, we will also link the records between it. I'll show that in a demo. And then also, yeah, what I said before about maintaining control of your Power Platform. So what we see quite often is then when citizen development is born, suddenly you've got a group of people who aren't really aware of the best practices when it comes towards data management and all of that, and they suddenly create apps and a bunch of apps. And what you'll see is they'll create them on a large amount of different data sources. You can have some SharePoint lists, some Excel files, some SQL databases. Some of them could be Dataverse already, but you'll notice that a lot of these apps will serve similar purposes. Like there might be 2 task management apps, and a lot of these apps here, most likely they also gather similar data. Most likely 10 to 15 of them will capture data about persons. What happens is if you just let this run, this ends up becoming what I call a master data management disaster, because suddenly all of your data is spread around in different systems. And if you want to do something with that data, or you want to use it for some insights, it becomes very difficult to do that because it's disparate in separate places. So what we do is, as part of Power Accelerate, we allow you to map towards a common data model. And still haven't updated this Microsoft Dataverse rather than the Common Data Service. And that gives you the possibility to drive a data landscape of reuse. If you create all of those applications and the contact to person data in those applications you store in the contact entity in a central place, and you can still decide which person data should be shared with which people through the security model, you get a really big benefit. And also, if you look at your further journey where you want to start using this data and maybe use it in a CRM system or in sales to drive more insights, you will be in a lot better position than to follow with this rather than the data being separate. And I'll show you in a second the demos. This is a new feature which we released last week, which shows at a very high level how it works, where we detect a screenshot. We will highlight, look, we found a match to a common data model entity. You validate, and as part of that, you select and accept the changes. The other big workload which you see is that as part of this citizen development journey, at some point the customer realizes like, this platform is actually quite useful. I can open all of these apps on my mobile. They have intelligent features, they're user-friendly, and we still have 50 or 100 applications sitting around on all sorts of old and legacy technologies like Access or others. And if I want to move those, it's actually I actually would get the benefits, but if I look at them one by one, you soon realize that for each one you have to do analysis, data modeling, create a screen logic, a data migration. And what you soon realize is you need a lot of experts actually to help you do that work. And because you need a lot of experts and a lot of man hours, it also costs quite a bit of money. The other big use case there is that using our solution, you can actually take those applications and with a lot less effort, we optimate up to 65% of that effort. You can move the core assets, and we use the core IT tasks, I call them, like the data modeling, the data migration, populating the fields and the forms. We get you to a certain state really fast in a matter of minutes rather than you having to do all of that effort manually. And the final thing, which is the first time I'll show this today as well, is this latest feature, which will probably release somewhere early December. Is as part of the solution, we generate a lot of the components in the Power Platform stack as part of the common data service or Dataverse. But also we want to speed up your Canvas app journey as well. And the idea here is that we're going to allow you as a user to upload a template. And I got an example here of a template, which looks a little bit better than the standard template which you get. And the idea is that you can also jumpstart your citizen development here, where you take your idea and you move it to the Power Platform. But even at the Canvas app side, we give you a head start where you can start from something better than the standard empty app and the standard empty toolbox using a template you upload yourself. And as Canvas apps don't support APIs, what we use for this is we use the robotic process automation capabilities of the Microsoft stack to mimic all of the manual actions which are required to set this up. And I'll show this today as well. And that brings you to the solution showcase. So we have some movies here, and I'll share out the slides at the end of the session as well. But it's always better to show it really live. So let's jump into the interesting stuff, which is the actual product demo. So here we have our Power Accelerate solution. This is a tool which we built ourselves, which is available on the internet. So you don't have to install something in your environment. I'll start maybe with a simple example of a screenshot. So let me do test screenshot CRMUG. I'll select the target instance. So I can either select our own internal instance, which is available to everyone, or select an instance from you or from the customer. Just take this trial instance. I'll create a project, and now what happens is it asks us for the source files. So I got 3 source files here. I got the scenario I have today is I got the organization record, so company record from Access, which I took somewhere. I took my best MS Paint skills as well, and I created a forum for a contact person or a person, and then also a forum for an interest. Like I just want to capture the interest of a person or a contact. So what I do is I'm going to upload those 3 into our solution. What will happen now is we've trained a machine learning model, and in the background, this model will analyze these screenshots. And based on the analysis in hopefully 10 to 15 seconds, we should get to the review screen to show what it has found. And as you can see, we get 3 tables here. One with the interest screenshot, like rating, interest, and feedback. We get a second table which has our company form, and you can already see some of the logic, like you recognize city and zip. So we apply what we call common field logic, where we say, okay, city is always a text field of max length 20. And so we try to automate your first level there already. A second thing we do, like in this case, is we said, look, we've detected a match to one or more of the common data model entities. And I can go here and I can see, okay, so it detected a match to contact and account. So I can select account in this case, because I know it's company. And then you can see the matches. So it detected these fields and it matched those to those fields. If I accept this, what happens? So what happens is it will automatically map those detected fields to the common data model field columns. It will automatically set the primary field of this entity as well and default to the account entity. If there's any field in there, like in this case, let's say phone, which didn't map, and I've done this on purpose, you can still go there and look for other fields which are in this common data model entity and map it manually. So that's also an option. The other thing you can do, and you can see some validation errors here because it detected sales lead twice and mailings as well. You can ignore specific fields. And you can also add new fields if you would like, or add a new table. Sake of the demo, I'll also go to our third screenshot, which is a contact entity. It also detected a match here. So I'll just accept the match to the contact entity. And our first table is an interest. So I'll just map it to an interest entity, and it will create this table itself. And I'll choose a primary field, interest. So I've now done the reviews and made a couple of changes, and the next step is to generate this. So what happens now in the generation step, it will create a publisher and a solution file. It will look at the metadata in our existing instance, and then it will see, okay, so which one of these things I'm trying to do here exist already, and which ones do I have to create? Then it will automatically create the data model in Microsoft Data first. reusing those common data model entities which we selected, as well as if it detects any fields which are not on there yet, it will also add those fields on there. You will also create a specific view, a search screen for that, as well as populate a form with all of those fields which don't exist yet. And then on top of it, it will also create a security role, and then model-driven app, populate all of the fields, the views, the forms, and a security role in a model-driven app. So it's configured as a standard package, as well as export that solution and make it available for you to download. If you're using our Power Accelerate internal instance, you get the solution values you can import on your side. But if you point the solution at your own instance, it will do all of the work directly into that instance itself. And it's almost finished here, so I'll show you in a second. It's just exporting. And that gives me a time to get a sip of water. Here we go. And so this is completed. And what you can now do as a quick demo is open the model-driven app, which it has generated. And here you can see the 3 tables which I have found. So the interest table. If I look here, I get my 3 fields. Also inside the search screen, you get those 3 fields. You get accounts. So here we're reusing the account entity. There was a record in there already. Any fields which didn't exist yet, it adds at the back of the form. And all of those fields which didn't exist yet on the entity, it created and added them in the form. And also we have the contact entity, very similar. It uses the entity there itself. So that was the first demo of the screenshot scenario. I'll now show you the Excel scenario. So for Excel, I also have an example file here which I use, and it's actually quite straightforward. So we have an Excel file with 3 worksheets: stores, person, and inspections, with some limited data in there. We used very extensive Excel sheets as well. Here, a common scenario is customers leveraging SharePoint lists a lot in the early days of Power Platform and moving those to Dataverse or Common Data Service. So what I do is I'll create a screenshot, a test with a screenshot here. So test Excel CRMUG. And I'll also select the trial instance and I'll create this. I'll upload the Excel file of the store inspection. It will now do a detection of what is in here. Again, I get my 3 tables here, store, person, and inspection. It takes the worksheet names. We have some logic, like it sees date as a common field, so we'll automatically select this as date time. Let me select the primary fields. Store, you can choose, is this a company or an account record, so do you want to have a custom table created? I'll quickly accept it to be a contact. It's a bit faster, an account. And this is it automatically recognizes the contact record as well. So I'm going to accept that. And I have my inspection. OK, I'm good to go. And I'll kick this off. While this loads, I'll also show you what happened for the previous project in the Maker portal in the solution file. So let me go to my solutions in the right environment. Here we go. And so here we have our previous project, the screenshot CRM user group. Inside this solution file, you'll see exactly what it did previously. So we reused the account table, the contact table. In those tables, you'll see that it only includes the columns and the fields which are applicable. I'll wait for this to load in a second. And so only the ones which we actually use. It doesn't include all components because that comes a mess later on when you deploy it as well. You'll see the view as well as the form which we generated for this as well. Then the other thing which you see is, it created a new table for interest. And so here, as it is a new entity, we of course do include all of the components in there as well. And you can see the forms and the views as well, which it created. And then the other thing we did is we generate a model-driven app, a security role, and a sitemap. And in that model-driven app, we also pre-configure everything already. So you get those forms for those entities, and you can play it from there. Okay, let's go back to our Excel example. So this is finished now as well. Let me open the model-driven app. So what we get here now is we get the same behavior. We get account, contact, and inspection with all of the data which was in the Excel sheet, as well as the records which were in the Excel sheet. It had has generated on top of that, matching to those standard tables. And then all of the data which was in there. So that's the added benefit of Excel over screenshots, is that you also get the data migrated as part of this. Then let's look at the most advanced scenario, which is of course the SQL Server scenario. So I'll create a new project. Test SQL Server CRMUG. I'll select my same instance again. So how we work for the SQL Server is we ask you to execute two queries, one to fetch the metadata and the other one to fetch the data. And let me, before I go there, let me share you the example scenario we use today. So every summer, my parents go use a local travel company here in Belgium, actually every summer, apart from this year. Where they go to the same hotel every year, and I'm the one having to book it for them. And so after a while, I actually written some kind of a script where I look at the travel price at the travel company's hotel, and I wrote a script where it extracts the price for that. And this is the backend database for it. And so what it does is stores the hotels, the price on a certain day, and then how many, it's more of a technical table, how many times I've run these. And so it has a set of data. I think it has 4 hotels which they typically go to, and there's relationships between them as well. So there's primary keys and foreign keys between them. What I'm going to do now is, if you go back to Power Accelerate, I'll copy the query to get the metadata. I'll execute that one against our table. And the idea is you don't have to install a tool, but you can just copy paste the query results into the Power Accelerate tool. You go next, and then you can choose. And so automatically generates a query based on the metadata to get the data. But you can also choose, okay, I just want the metadata, I don't want the data yet. So you can also continue without the data. But in the case of the demo, let me get the data as well. And so I'll execute the second query, and I'll copy paste the results. Here you go. Next. And so now the same thing will happen. We'll get our review step, and it will have detected those 3 tables: hotel, hotel price, and hotel run. You can see primary keys. Of course, we don't have the basic common field mapping here because it's a SQL Server. You can get all of the exact details. What is the data type, the max length, and all of that. I'll just select the primary field here. You can also choose this match to probably the company entity. In this case, I'm just going to leave it as is. Here on the hotel price, you get the primary key again, but also the foreign key to hotel. And so you can also see those relationships between those tables. I'll just select the primary field, and same thing again. You get the primary field as well as the relationship to the other table. I'll click generate, and this does take a little bit longer as it's 3 tables, and it has created all of those fields as we're not reusing existing entities here. But the idea here now is that we do the exact same thing. We generate a data model. We bring across all of the entities, the tables, the fields, the field types, the forms, and the views. We also get the data. And what's really nice about the data here is we also do relational data. So you get relationships and lookups between the data in the target state. Actually, it's going quite fast here, which is good. So in about 20 seconds, I should be able to show you what it's done. So it's generating the sample data. And the foreign keys is the next step. Yeah. Give this a little bit more time, exporting the solution. We're almost there. And while this loads, the biggest database up to now, which we've run this on, is Microsoft AdventureWorks, which had 71 tables and thousands of records. Of course, it took a while to get through it and create all of the tables, and we fixed a lot of bugs in the platform as well because of it. But we did manage to move that across in 15 minutes. While in a normal world, if you would move a database like that to Power Platform, it would take you weeks or even a month. We were able to automate a lot of that work in 15 minutes using this solution. So I open the model-driven app now. What you can see is you get the three tables, so hotel, hotel price, and hotel run. And if you open one of these records, you can also see the relational data. Like in this case, an hotel run relates via lookup to hotel, and you can go through that. And same thing with the hotel runs where you have the relationships. A big value add here is, of course, that we even automate a lot more work through this scenario. I'll also show you the Maker portal and see what it's done there. It is very similar. So here you get a solution file with the three tables that created the model-driven app and all around that. And then, yeah, to complete the demo, by default, what you can do is you can create the Canvas app. That was the wrong thing. Give me a sec. You can create a Canvas app based on the entity which you just created. So in this case, it could be hotel, and that is of course. Oh, I think I'm in the wrong environment. That's why it's not allowing me to do that. Let's have a look. Here we go. I have to select this one. Okay, so I do create. So this is a standard feature where you can create, read, update, delete Canvas app. And it looks like something has changed recently, but let me then show you the other way we do it. And so by default, you can create a Canvas app using the standard feature on top of an entity you just created. But we've now, with our Power Accelerate solution, taken this even further, where we use Microsoft RPA, and I got a really big RPA flow here, where we've created a template application. And that template application, we will save a copy of, and then we will go through all of the manual steps to update the data source to match this new Dataverse entity, which we just created. And this is the first time we're showing this, so most likely something will go wrong as well. But let's try to run it anyway and see what happens. So what happens, we will open up the template which we've uploaded. And yeah, it's not the nicest app, but it's a big improvement already from the standard blue apps you get. So we did work a little bit on UX design. And by default, it's mapped to one of the entities already. But the idea is that then through mimicking the manual actions through RPA, we can take this app and do all of the steps which you would normally do in a manual world to and execute those to already give you a head start with the Canvas app. Let's see if this is running. Actually, it's not. Let me give this another go. Here you go. And always the same. The demo gods are against you when you run one of these. So let's run that again. It's opening up the template application. And now there is a wait condition of about 10 to 15 seconds. Let's see if it works this time. It's still going. Oh, yeah, here we go. So now what it does, it will take a copy using RPA of this template. and then it will be our working Canvas app. There's a couple of wait conditions here and there where it waits 5 to 10 seconds because it's never really clear how long something is going to take. But what you see will now mimic all of the actions. So it will update the data source of all of the gallery controls in there, as well as the fields in those gallery controls, depending on a set of input parameters which we give it. And it will take those create, read, and update screens. And where you basically have updated the search screen, now we're updating the edit screen. Still moving. Now we're going to update the update screen as well. And the idea is that we literally mimic all of these actions, which would typically happen by someone manually. And we give you citizen developer a head start as well. So now this app gets published. And then the final step is that it will move us to the solution file. And it will add that Canvas app which you just generated inside of the solution. And of course, this is work in progress. But the idea is that if you run through Power Accelerate and the solution I just showed you earlier, that we auto-generate the Canvas app and embed that as part of the solution and also generate that for you. And so what you get at the end then is not only the model-driven app with the data model, but also a head start and improved Canvas app at the end of it, which you can then really start your citizen development on. And yeah, I should have added this, but hopefully you get the idea. Let me move back to my slides. I got two more, I think. Actually only one more. When it comes to where we are today, is we currently have a private preview running until the end of January. And I've linked the nomination form here, but also make sure to put it in the chat in a second so you can find it. And the idea is that you can try out our solution, and we're looking for this active win-win collaboration where you can save time in your projects of working with your customers or building your own app. And at the same time, we mature our solution even more. We've been in private preview now for 1.5 months, and we've onboarded 12 partners already. The idea is that we have this run until we go GA at the end of January 2021. If you send us a nomination via the form, please do include your corporate email accounts because we use Azure AD guest accounts, so you don't get separate credentials, but you can leverage your own company credential to access our tool. And the other question I would have is, please follow our LinkedIn profile as well, where we have the company page. And there you will also see the latest news and the updates, and we've released a couple of blog posts on it as well. If you have any other questions or queries, or you want to get a specific demo, have a discussion about something, feel free to contact us either at info@poweraccelerate.com or just send me a quick message on LinkedIn, and we'll happily pick up the conversation again. I think that gets us at my last slide, and I want to thank the CRM user group again for giving us the possibility to present this solution. I will spend the last 20 minutes to answer Q&A if there's any. So thanks again for being here, and I'll have a look at the chat to see if there's any questions in the